Hello, everyone. This is a bit unusual for me, but I do have a video interview today, so it's a exception, and I have made it for a very interesting case. I am joined with Francesco from StudioLoading, and
Hello.
yeah. So tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Francesco Bacchelli. I'm from Italy. I'm from Bologna. And tonight I am in my favorite nerd club here in Bologna. So the location and the cartoons of the 80s and 90s are totally intentional. I started develop. I am actually a software engineer. So I studied a lot to be where I am now from when I was like 15 years old. So I started programming at school, and then I went to like IT, so software engineer university. I completed the studies, and during the day, I am a Java developer. So I work like 8 hours a day for a big company, and when the night comes, I put my glass on. And I start to develop new games for retro consoles.
You shift personas into a retro developer. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, also using Java is a 90s language, so in a way you do carry a hint of the nighttime persona during the daytime.
I develop in Java. I use Java language since I started to work, so since 2012. So it's 11 years that I'm developing in Java language. So I also obviously keep it updated. So we are in Java 21, Java 17, but I started with Java 7, which was which was just coming up back in the days in 2012, 2011. But I like to keep like I live two lives at the moment, as you said. So during the day when the sun is up high, I'm also a husband. I'm also a father. So I have my like normal guy life. I don't know. I don't know what's normal today. So what? How can I say it? Traditional, maybe. I don't know. Life, but yes. During the night, I like to, as my mother says, also. She thinks that I stopped to grow up at 16 or 17. And I developed in the C language, the Game Boy games.
Yeah.
For the Game Boy games, I used the C language with no malloc and no addressing issues, not at all. And the C language was the language that I used to study at school when I was exactly 16. So maybe she's right. I'm not able to grow up in some way.
So going from business dev in Java, how did you start with game development in general? Was it always
Yeah.
retro dev, or was there a? Oh, I believe you have some retro styled games, but that are in a more modern engine, if I'm not mistaken.
You shouldn't have known that. I'm trying to cover it the best I can because there is an exact moment in my life when I decided to go to the other side. When I decided to start to using my skills as a software engineer to develop video games, because I knew that it was another forma mentis. Like you cannot use the business or the working philosophies, the working way of thinking talking about software, of course, and architectures, you cannot use that when you develop video games. It's completely another thing. When my son was 1 or 2 years old, during the day I was the father, during the night I was a video gamer, and I played the Gothic trilogy. This is a story maybe I use to talk it every time, but it's very attached to me, and I feel for it even today. I completed the Gothic trilogy. Gothic is a video game from Jovood and a software, I cannot remember, Piranha Bytes.
And I believe they closed recently, unfortunately.
Yeah. I played the Gothic 1, 2, and 3 because I needed to just escape, let me say. So I had the job, I had the child crying, and so I needed like even 1 hour on my sofa when the night came, just playing Gothic. So just go around, go to the hills, run and fight and die and rob and steal and fight dragons, and like that. I completed Gothic 3, and I think it took too much from me, because it's like I became the nameless hero of Gothic. And if you know how Gothic 3 ends, my video gamer side almost ended there. And I will not spoil you how Gothic 3 ends, but it's an happy ending. And I thought in the exact moment when the video game just stopped to respond to my interactions and to my pressing buttons, I felt that, all right, I'm done. I've seen all of the thing I am interested in. I've experienced all the video game and the designs I wished to. So I'm done. What could I do from now? I can start to play again from the NES, maybe. Maybe I'm going to play all the NES catalog, all the Game Boy catalog, all the Super Nintendo catalog, and PS1 and PS2, which are the consoles that I'm truly interested in. Or I can start thinking about going to the other side and do my games. So for 1 year and a half, my routine was this. I woke up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. No, I didn't wake up with the alarm. My wife used to wake me up, saying, "Hey, keep the baby. I need to rest. Give me 2 hours, and then you have to go to the office." So I was with the baby early in the morning, every day. I went to the office 1 hour, 1 hour and a half before the office opened, and I went to the bar, having breakfast, and study the Godot engine. Every day for 1 year and a half. So I did few things that I like to remember, but I don't like to say about because they are really ugly. But it's a road that you have to take if you want to be good. If you want to become good and do real stuff, like enjoyable and actually like nice to watch and interact with, you have to do some shit. You have to do bad things. So you will know that these things are bad, and you can evolve in some way, and you can do better the next time. With the Godot engine exercises, I studied on the classic literature about game design. So the book of lenses, theory of fun about game design. Then there is a manual of 2D pixel art for game developer. I think it is the exact title of that book, 2D program for game developer. Well, it was something vertical to the 2D graphics, so pixel art. And then some sound design. So I was able to mix the studies on books and the real exercises on Godot engine. The last game that I did with Godot engine was Cobra Kai, which was a fun game of the first season of the Cobra Kai series, which is on Netflix today. But I simulated to be on the NES. So I tried to stick theoretically to the machine's limitations. Palettes, number of sprites, frame rate, resolution, etc. But coding and pixeling and animating within the Godot engine. I did the fan game, so I was happy with that. And I started to think, well, what if I put myself into these limitations? So not faking it anymore, but going into that. So for a real machine of the 80s and the 90s, I took a look at, I tried to make researches about the retro games. So what if there are new games for the old consoles? I asked myself. And I saw a few projects on the Kickstarter, on the Kickstarter portal. I saw the NES was actually a big scene, was a very good scene, which is even today. And I felt fear. If I put myself into that and I try to promote my game there, where there are big teams, like huge people, and sometimes money that the company puts on for very good video games to be developed for the NES, I'm like a drop in the ocean. I am someone too little to compete with those big ones. Back in the day, I saw them as like heroes, no? And I was a tiny little shit trying to, hey, I'm going to develop retro games. Then I saw the Game Boy scene, which had some project actually funded, but the video games that were shown there were worse than my Cobra Kai. So here I can compete, maybe. Here I have some, possibility to be appreciated, to be funded for a game that I wish to do. So this is how it started.
So yeah, that's how you ended up in the Game Boy in the end. I did wanted to ask, why specifically in Game Boy? Is it something to the hardware? But it turns out to be the competition. As you said, there was a.
It was and it is a scene in which I can say something, in which I can be seen, and in which my work can be appreciated and how can I say, and noticed. Yeah, noticed.
Do you plan? So yeah, I've I did my research. So you did uh I believe two Game Boy games in total
Yeah,
before Orpheus,
hmm,
which is Flying Arrows, if I remember correctly.
correct.
Uh, which how so not only did you make them, you Flying Arrows, the first one was already shipped on a cartridge. Uh,
Yeah,
how do you go from a okay, let me just make a fun project that I wish to sell to people, perhaps digitally, to actually getting to a point where it's an actual cartridge that runs on an actual Game Boy?
yeah, yeah. I made some researches about the projects that were made already at the time. So I asked creators on Kickstarter, I DM them, so I send directly a message or an email about, hey, how are you able to do that today? How, where do you take supplies? How, when?
Who's making cartridges in this age?
Yeah, yeah. So by those interviews and by myself, my own researches, I found a production pipeline. So I'm able to buy the electronic cards and then flash them with USB flasher through a batch file, giving the batch file the ROM file. The ROM file built with the ZGB engine, which is free on GitHub, based on the GBDK bigger library, let's say. And then the pixel printing is able to do the tiny little labels that has to be sticked to the shells. And these shells are from a website of Canada. Uh, I saw a few projects, no, a lot of projects actually, that are clearly supplied from AliExpress or Temu, or quality of the materials not so nice, not so good to look at, not so look to touch and see from this distance. So I found suppliers that give me good quality materials, and good quality suppliers are strictly have a lot of have a high dependency to the quality of the final product.
So you've mentioned it. So you're actually well, let's say producing the finalized copies of the games that are shipped out to people yourself. You're flashing them, putting stickers on
One
them.
by one.
That is, that I do have to admire the dedication of that. As you said, a lot of
Well,
people outsource it to, well, usually Asian countries, usually China, and they do it en masse. So yeah, I do have to admire the dedication to just sit down and do it by yourself. Uh,
yes, it is very important to me to keep the bar very high on the final product, on the cartridge and on the box copy, because I love them, just simple as that, and because I really care a lot about it. Just as the quality of the games, just as the quality of the design and the sound and the gamer emotions when the gamers play my video games.
so let's, so to speak, rewind a bit. How how does a development cycle for a Game Boy game look? I do think, I assume it has some similarities with developing for a modern games, but just some of the unique
No, not a lot.
not a lot.
No,
Okay.
no, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, and I
I
can
mean in the
explain
whole
why.
cycle, not necessarily the environment, but the cycle of getting something to work, getting it play tested by someone, and then just repeat. But I believe the details of the process are very different.
Okay, so maybe let me talk about it again. Let's double check the concept. So the main pipeline of video game production maybe is similar. Maybe it's very similar to other solo developer projects. All right, maybe, I don't know. But the hardware limitations of the Game Boy machine, in my case, and in the retro console machines in general, firstly, scares you. Firstly, you see that as a limitation. At first, you see that as oh, I wish to do that and that and that and that and that together with that, with this and this at the same time, but I'm not able to do that because the processor and the motherboard is not able to do what I want. And the reality here is very different. You can do the same thing that you want to do if you have clear, if you have, if you are completely, how can I say, like, if you are focused on what the experience has to be in the final game, in the final product, you can do that with the limitations of the machines. So use the limitations at your advantage to improve the quality of the interactions, the quality of the emotions that the game is giving. Today, to get to the goal of where you want to go with the game, you can take a lot of paths. You have 20 terabytes of memory possible. You have like light speed of the CPUs and 2 GPUs at the same time, while like Bitcoin, some stuff, it's like infinite. And this is what I thought developing on Godot engine. To get where I want to go, I can take infinite paths. And I was alone, and I am a solo dev, and I felt lost. I was not able to choose a path and follow it because there were too much possibilities. And I couldn't take one road to accomplish, to get to the goal. So I decided to get into the limitations. So the limitations say to me, hey, if you want to go there, you have to follow this path straight. And you're going to get there, but you have to stay in this path, in this space. You have 2056 tiles available for the frames of the sprites you are loaded in the stage. You have 255 tiles, which one tile is 8 pixel by 8 pixel square for the tile map. And the VRAM is not 512. The VRAM shares 128 tiles between sprites and tile maps. So you have to stick with that and decide how to distribute frame sprites or map details. And this is something I really love.
I mean, it turns development into a puzzle in itself, a bit. As you're describing it, it's like the development becomes a game in itself. It's like, okay, I have these pieces and I have to fit in here, and how you eventually get there isn't as important as the fact that you did it in the end.
Yes, this is exactly my approach. I'm video gaming, developing video games. Yes. Yes.
So what's a limitation? What's something that has proven to be a challenge, but you didn't initially expect it to be a challenge? Something you thought of was like, okay, this might not be as a big of an issue, and then you spent a lot more dealing with it.
I think there are two things that responds to your answer, which are the tile maps. It took really a huge amount of time for me to draw tile by tile and compose tile by tile maps to be enjoyable, to be animated, because this is not an easy process to do. The animation of the tile map in Game Boy is not easy, but it's doable, and I found my way to do that with a lot of practice and exercise and hours spent. So the map of the stages took me a huge amount of time, and I didn't expect that. Because, hey, it's tiled. So just, if you set 3 tiles, you are covered 24 pixels horizontally by 8 pixels vertically. So hey, you already took a big amount of the screen, but it's not like that. No, it's completely not like that because of limitations. Because you have to try to maybe reuse the same tiles for different things on your map. The classic Super Mario Bros. Thing on the NES, which took the same tile of the cloud and the
hill at the background.
The hill, yeah, and the hill. So I took that and I used that to produce an enjoyable map. The second thing, the second thing is the which took me a lot of time that I didn't expect. The speed of the sprites. They took me quite a lot of time to be understood, because there is a frame skipping which has to be done for a smooth movement. Because the ZP engine which I'm using executes the update function that is coded on every kind of sprite. So every sprite is a C file linked to the graphic file, which has a start and an update method. So we are talking about development. So I can talk about software, and we are here for that, right?
Yes.
Good. So the start method is executed once, when the map is just dropped on the map. The sprite is dropped on the map. And the update method, which is executed 60 times per second, almost 60 times per second. So the method to call for the sprite movement, if you call it on the update function, is invoked and actually executed 60 times per second. So your sprite would move 60 pixels in 1 second, which is a lot, which is too much. So I have to learn frame skipping on the 2-axis. And I'm talking about the frame skipping because today, like 1 hour ago, 2 hours ago, I was coding about the frame skipping again for a project which is different from Orpheus, but because on the Orpheus campaign is now ending, so we are starting to review the design of the video game, because we thought like 60 maps and 10 different bosses and maybe a playable character, which is Eurydice, and so on. But we have to stick with the amount of money and economic resources that we have now, or we are going to have in a few hours. So the game has to be, dimensioned with that. So the frame skipping that I was coding a few hours ago was about another project which I think it's going to come on Kickstarter again on January 26th, because Kickstarter just promoted the Make 100, which is like kind of a free marketing movement into Kickstarter. Is that what I am understanding? And Flying Arrows 1 sold 110 physical copies. I'm not counting the digital. I'm not counting the digital versions. I like to talk about my games on real hardware only, if possible. And Flying Arrows 2 was about 120. Orpheus is 140 at the moment. So what if my next game would be a 100 unit Kickstarter project? It would fit. It would be the average, almost. Yeah. Maybe a little lower, but
achievable.
Okay. Yeah, totally achievable. Totally achievable. I set the goal very, very low for my games, because I want to do these video games. Like I need to do that. I need to finally look at my cartridges, having it in front of me every day, and those things make me think, hey, you did that. You reached to do a new cartridge for the Game Boy catalog. I wanted this. And Kickstarter is the, how can I say? It's kind of an excuse for me to to do those games, and knowing that also other people like those.
So I mean, yeah, definitely. There's a big sense of pride when you can hold a physical copy of a game that you've worked on that's slightly lost in digital only releases of ever so more popular in modern days.
Yeah.
To go back onto the development itself. How does your developer environment look? What do you use to develop the games?
Sorry. Are you talking about the software tools?
Yeah, for now. We can cover the hardware tools, right after.
Sure. Well, the ZGB engine is the main library that I use, and you can find it, as I said before, on GitHub. ZGB engine is like perfect. To me, is perfection, because it helps me. It gives me room to play. It gives me all the like comfort stuff to do what a game has to do and what a video game has to do. I code in Visual Studio in C language. So let me list the kind of instruction that I use. Include, define, typedef, enum, methods, variables, bit shifting, additional subtractions.
Okay.
Done. Over. And then I debug my code, which is very important. Very, very important. I am able to debug on Visual Studio my executing code through Emulicious emulator, which has the, let me say, link to the Visual Studio. So from Visual Studio, I press the F5 button, which everybody knows what it does. So the build process starts, and it produces the .gb ROM file, which is loaded from an instance of Emulicious. And I can see the execution interrupt with the breakpoints. So sometimes Emulicious gives me like false positives or values that are not the correct value, but like it happens one time every 100. So it's very remote possibility. But the how was his nickname? Calindro, I guess, which is the person that answers me every time I bother him about Emulicious and how it works on Discord. So he's very responsive and updates the Emulicious emulator quite often, and is very nice. Even the ZGB people on the Discord server, maybe I'm famous there because I really asked a lot of questions to them. Because yes, the engine is simple, but my designs are not. So every time I have to learn a new way to implement some mechanics that I dreamed about, or I just found out, or I thought about, and write into my paper notes. So the paper notes, yeah, are totally are totally tools that I use. About the graphics, there are two softwares which are used with ZGB that are called Game Design, Game Boy Tile Designer, yeah, where you draw the tiles and the sprites frame. Then the Game Boy Map Builder, which is like the tiled software, So from the Game Boy map builder, you decide the dimensions in a number of tiles. You hook the tile designer file, which contains the tiles that you want to use there. And then, tile by tile, you compose, you complete your map. About the sound, the effects that I hate, and I think I'm not going to use them anymore. Because come on, the Game Boy effects are awful. They're not good to listen. No, they are just ugly. I used a ROM file, which produces the sound effects that I want by increasing or decreasing some properties value and choosing the channel you want to use, because Game Boy have 4 channels for the audio. And the background music is done from a tracker, which is called Huge Tracker. I just bought a new software that is currently selling on the itch.io platform, which is called MIDI to Huge. Huge file, so .uge, are the files that the Huge Tracker is able to read and play. So what you listen on the Huge Tracker file, this is a one-on-one song that you are going to listen on the real Game Boy. So it is very good to work like that. The MIDI to Huge is a software that tries or reaches to convert MIDI files, if correctly formatted, to a huge file. So I think this is a very important software which is just born. I think that the MIDI to Huge is on itch.io since few months, I guess. And I've started to use it. But I have to learn a few more things, because this MIDI to Huge is just a batch file. So is a terminal file. It's a command which reads reads some ini, property file, and you have to tune it, and you have to modify the MIDI file. So the source of the, let's say, sound of the commands of the tracks in a correct way, and map every instrument that are written into the MIDI file to the correct channel that's going to be played on the Game Boy. This is not an easy way, but it's the only way. So
yeah.
Hopefully I found some musicians, like people that play more instrument and are like just musicians. So
Yeah,
they studied it, and they are able to play and to write and to feel the harmony, the rhythm, and all those hard stuff for me. So the background music is commissioned to SloopyGoop, which is a guy named Andrew Davis, I guess, because we always chat in or call us in Discord, so the real names are
It's
not used
all studio
often
screen
anymore.
names.
Yeah.
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 So
Yes,
now
I
you
think
have.
that the tools are this.
I mean, uh, uh, I'm familiar with trackers, but usually, as you said, Game Boys are pretty limited. So I'm trying to understand the process here more. So you have a more general MIDI file, and then you tell it how to treat each instrument in a MIDI file and where to arrange it on a Game Boy channel, and then it on a huge tracker file, and then the converter, follows the rules that you have set for it. If I've understood correctly.
The MIDI file can contain a lot of tracks.
Yeah.
The MIDI to huge has to read a map that says track named drum has to be played on channel number 4. So on huge tracker, you can see the channel 4 filled with the commands that are on the track named drum into the MIDI file. So the bass has to be mapped to channel 3 because it usually is. So the bass is played on the channel 3 of the Game Boy. So when you open the huge file, you can see channel 4 and channel 3 filled with the same commands that the MIDI file has on the corresponding tracks. And so on with the latest two, channel 1 and channel 2. I know that the Game Boy has actually 5 channels, but nobody up to now had ever found a way to play those 5 channels at the same time. I think that channel 5 is never used, but I know that it exists.
What is it supposed to do? Because each channel, if I'm not mistaken, I know this in an NES. There's two square wave. No, there's a square and a sine, and a sawtooth. So is the Game Boy set up as well with its channels? So it's like, what would
Channel
the
1,
so what
yeah,
would the
channel 1
fifth
and channel
channel be?
2.
Yeah.
Channel 1 and channel 2 are square. Channel 3 is a triangle. And channel 4 is the noise. I don't know what channel 5 is, but I know that it exists.
So there's a
I'm
whole.
saying it because maybe
So,
I'm saying it because maybe out there are some musician or some like genius that's able to like unlock the 5th channel, making us listen to an unknown channel on the Game Boy. Maybe in 2025 or 26, we are going to listen to the 5th channel of the Game Boy, which nobody has ever listened to.
well, I that's a secrets for people to explore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know about previous game, but I know that on Orpheus you are also working with a artist and level designer. So
Yes.
how well have they adapted to the limitations of the Game Boy?
Okay. I told them all the limitations at like stage 0 of our collaboration. So if you want to do a video game on the Game Boy, you have to know that papa, 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 papa. So the designer proposed me a design which has to be limited in some way, which has to be fixed. Let's say fixed, because I'm talking to a fixed guy. So the design has to be fixed to fit into the Game Boy, still giving a good experience, still giving a good interaction and a good level of challenging. So it was my duty to adapt the design into the Game Boy, keeping the balance between frustration and happiness and challenging and enjoying the thing that is playing on a Game Boy. The pixel art guy, I think that he had already some experiences on developing for the Game Boy. Maybe the Game Boy Color, I guess. Which limitations I'm not able to use because all my video games all of them have to be color compatible, which is another quite huge challenge because the Game Boy Color had the double of the video RAM that has the Game Boy. So making video Game Boy color compatible means to stick on the Game Boy limitations, but showing on the Game Boy Color the colors. So I had a lot of fun with that. So FaultBox, which is the artist here, already had some experiences, so it was quite easy to explain him how to fit into the limitation of the cartridge. Yeah.
So set expectations early and then refine, keep refining the work, people. Because I wanna the obvious general question is when somebody who already does some development, because I don't know if I would recommend going deep into limitations for your very first game, but let's say you have made one game and now you wanna go into retro dev. What recommendations do you have for somebody who is looking to go off the deep end, as they say?
Yeah. When we asked FaultBox to draw for us Orpheus, we said him, hey, let's please draw us the Orpheus in a chibi style and make it fit into a 32 by 32 pixels square. He did a great job, but Orpheus had the width of 20 pixels. You can imagine that we could stretch him up a bit in the horizontally. Despite, I asked him to modify Orpheus in a way that it can stay into the width of 16 pixels. So you have to take 2 pixel right, 2 pixel left, and stripe it out. This is a very important step. We are talking about optimizations here. So you can start with design. Oh, please, rule number 0. Start with wait a minute. When you decide to develop a retro game, you have to start with these tools. All right? These are your first tools. So no PC, shut down your computer, start writing things. And then when it's time to do those on your softwares, you have to optimize everything. because everything is a resource that has to be completely used to produce the thing you want to see. You have to take it all. No pixels left behind.
I mean, when you only have so much to work with, you really have to use all of it. And but if you use up all of it up too early, then you're just left with, oh no, what do I do with the next thing I must implement? So it does make sense. And I mean, I agree with you on the pen and paper, but I do believe that still applies to modern desktop development. I feel like a lot of developers get into doing something too quickly without knowing what they want to achieve in the first place.
Exactly,
So,
exactly. I can share my experience as a solo dev. So I do it by my own, and I have to develop all the aspects of a video game. And to have those under my control, I have to write it down firstly. So it starts from the game genre, and then the subgenre, and then the characters, and then what every buttons do, and according to the state that the game is currently. So you have to list all the states that your game are going to need. So you want to write the initial credits, right? Write down the fact that you need a screen to show the credit for the game artist, game musician. So they are two screens. So the title screen and the options and the configurations and write it down firstly. When you have all your states listed, then you start coding.
and then I could
This
also,
is what I mean.
yeah, and I could also imagine when you're already thinking of, oh, I need these splash screens. Those also take up a memory space on a cartridge, so you have to balance, and, in a way, you have to balance crediting people versus sprites that you use for in the middle of your gameplay segments. So it is a I myself am not used to working in so thin constraints. I have worked on older computers, but those still had a whopping 512 megabytes of RAM. But it was a more usual uh uh developer experience, because you're still working on a desktop, testing on a desktop, and you can load from storage if you just need something. uh, uh so you're obviously thinking about memory, not runtime memory, but cartridge storage memory space early on. And I was wondering if modern day cartridges do come with just a bit more banks of memory, or is it still the same way they used to be back in the day?
Do you know how many bytes is Flying Arrows 1?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't checked.
512 kilobytes. This is a platform with 8 levels, 16 maps, 8 boss fights, 9 boss fights, plus 1 hidden stage, and cutscenes, and the title screen, and the credits, and the sound effects, and the music backgrounds, and the sprite animations, and bullets, because flying arrows is about like shooting or
About the
firing
flying
arrows
arrows, yeah.
around. Okay. So it's a complete video games. It's a
Yeah.
complete video game from every aspect, and this is half a megabyte. So is it about dimensions? Is it about how many bytes you need to do your video game? No, I think it's not. I think it's not. Modern PCBs, which are the like electronic cards, the green one that are into the shells of every Game Boy cartridge. Maybe today you can find something, I guess, higher than the Pokemon first generation cartridges, which had like 5 megabytes, 4 megabytes, 5 megabytes. Maybe today you can find something higher dimensioned with again more bytes. But if you need 10 megabytes to do a Game Boy video game,
I think
there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to move to I wanted to look upon the future, and you did mention you have a future project planned after Orpheus. Are you willing to share anything more about it, or is it top secret that for now?
Yeah. All right. I can share something. Give me 1 minute. I'm looking for a file. I have a certain file in mind that I want to send you now. This one.
Okay, it looks interesting.
I still have to decide if you can share it with
Okay.
the
It's
on your
not on the
website or
screen
not.
at the moment. Only I can see it right now. You're still
All right.
the only visible to the OBS, but the box itself is interesting enough that I'm already thinking about what this represents.
Well, there are movies about that. The colossals of the 50s or 60s. Maybe Ben-Hur is the movie that did it better. And the oldest video game of this kind was on the Spectrum. was on the Spectrum.
Oh wow.
90, 80 something.
I mean, that is even compared to the Game Boy, that has been a while ago.
Yeah, but it's something that can be like it can be still a classic.
Yeah.
It's something. It's an experience that can be easily implemented on a video game from a design point of view. From a technical point of view, it has been quite funny. Yeah, quite funny, but it's not so easy for the mechanic implementations because on every project, you start with an empty file. The file that decides the movement of a sprite is an empty file, is a like spritehorse.c, which is empty text file. And you have to start from that point on to move what you want to move, to animate what you want to animate. And same thing for the Orpheus project. And still, I used to. We discussed a lot about the about Orpheus mechanics and features and traps and enemies because we continuously find the how do you say compromise? So the deal of the like how can it be done technically and how the design would the game to be. This is a very funny part of a video game development on retro consoles because the technician finally decides if something can be done and what price has that thing that the designer is dying to view and to see and to be implemented. You, developer, can decide how much does it cost. We are not talking about time. We are not talking about economic resources. We are talking about
CPU
how many
cycles.
frames,
Yeah.
how many frames I have to stripe out from the Orpheus movement to have a new skeleton enemy with a shield that is covering him. This is going to cost 3 frames of Orpheus walking animation. So, are you sure that now you want really so much that skeleton with this shield? This is very funny.
You know, having a chat with you like this definitely makes me wanna, make a weekend project out of, just to make us something simple.
Yes, completely possible.
For a Game Boy.
Totally possible. This is the same exact reason why I decided to develop on the Game Boy on ZGB. This is exactly the same reason. I thought in restudy the assembly language because back in the days in the 80s and 90s, Game Boy video game development was done in the assembly language, which is not a language, which are just like OP codes that swaps data and between registers. But I thought that, well, yeah, I could do it. I was very good in assembly when I was 16 years old. Back in high school, I was very good, and I liked it a lot. I clearly
Which
remember
flavor of assembly? What was the architecture?
80, and 8085. The Sharp Al-R5, I am not able to remember, is the microprocessor that is on the Game Boy, and is a union between the OP codes from the Z80, which is like the Master System and the Game Gear, a few of more OP codes from the 8088, I guess, and like 5 OP codes customed by Nintendo or Sharp. I really thought about, all right, let's go back in assembly and write a video game in assembly. Then I clearly saw that to implement like Pong on the Game Boy, in assembly, it would have taken like 4 to 6 months of my life. So no. I couldn't bear it. No. I couldn't stand it. No. I wanted to do like good games, but I don't want to take like 10 years of my life to produce a new game for the Game Boy. No, it's too much time. I need something more readable. I need something debuggable. I need something to be written and read fastly as a human.
Do you ever write custom assembly with C?
No.
So you're completely doing it in C.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
Because when I started, even how to even approach Game Boy development, I was also you probably need to know assembly, and then I discovered, and then I played the Orpheus demo, and then you probably displayed the ZGB on there, and I was like, okay, well, let me see what is it, and I saw that it was completely in C, and not only is it in C, it's built on a development kit, which is also by itself promoting usage of more C. So it's like, okay, we definitely have more modern tools than I have anticipated.
Yeah, this is a key value. This is a key value for retro game development. This is something that like, or you are a Taliban, or you are like 60 years old and you you were born in assembly and you know how to assembly fastly and read your assembly codes, or is something that it cannot be undone. I'm waiting for the NestDog library. Hello, NestDog library. I'm waiting for the NestDog library to evolve a bit, or the GBDK Nest branch to be like to have a little more appeal, for even the NES to be developed on with the C language. I'm waiting for that moment. I'm patiently waiting.
I know I don't know how popular it is, but I've heard of, it's called Neslib or something like that, which does extend C for NES, but aside from writing out Hello World, I have not done much with it, so I cannot say in which state it is. But it's interesting to hear that something that has GB in the name, as the Game Boy Development Kit is also now looking to target an NES platform.
Yeah, this is Michael. I'm sorry. I'm terrible on names. I'm deeply
Same. I
sorry.
completely understand.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to mention this guy, which is developing this branch, which is making the NES developable. No, it's not developable. How can I do this? How can I say it? He is doing this job. He's doing this kind of stuff, and I'm following him. Now and then, I ask something on his like Discord channel, which is a channel in the GBD in the GBDev ZGB. I don't even remember the name of the server because I'm always there. So
you don't have to look at the name of it; it's always open.
yeah. So that's a guy who's doing it. So hopefully we are going to have the ZGB version for the NES. And when the time comes, and when it comes, for sure, I will be there. For sure. 100%. 100%. Maybe with Flying Arrows Gate and Sega, maybe with Heuridice, I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. Maybe with Heuridice Back to Hell, because it's Orpheus to Hell and back.
Yeah.
And then you have Eurydice, who is clearly not going to exit the Hades because the myth is not saying it.
Yeah, gets dragged
so
back.
Maybe
Yeah.
Eurydice has to have the subtitle of Back to Hell. I don't know. Still, I know that Orpheus is going to be very great. It's going to be a very good game. You saw that. It's an action. It's an action puzzle on fixed screen.
Orpheus by itself, it's a very charming, and I've played a few Game Boy homebrew games that are usually game jam games. With the is it Game Boy Toolkit? What's the pink logo? There's a really popular no code.
No, you're talking about GB Studio.
GB Studio, thank you. Yeah. So I know that was kind of popular. I've seen people use it on game jams, but I've never seen a commercial game done with it. So you know, it never.
Jesus Christ! I'm super tired of GB Studio. I cannot stand it. I'm sorry, GB Studio guys. I love you. You know it. Don't take it personally.
You know, every tool has its users.
Yeah, there are really too much games that looks the same. People don't even change the font. People don't even change the window frame of the dialogue. So every game has like the same chibi style, Pokemon style, and the same text window, like with black text on a white background. And I'm so tired of that. No, I'm not that person. Maybe the games are going to sell anyway because they have a nice graphics, like Pokemon style, so it's going to work forever. But are you really a game developer? Like, are you really a creative person? Are you an artist? Are you able to develop a video game from scratch? Or are you able to use Lego or just the Duplo? You know the difference.
Yeah.
You know, when you were a kid, you had the Duplo, which were these huge pieces, like super upscaled Lego, and in 5 pieces you're able to like build something high of this highness. But if you're able to use Lego pieces, you still are going to build a statue up like that, but in a higher resolution and
you have a
in
lot
a higher
more control
quality
over the element.
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny to mention because I keep saying something very, very similar, but not to retro developers. I usually, when I say stuff like that, I'm talking about the modern dominance of Unreal and Unity, and how how most developers who are looking to come into the field should be using not them necessarily because they're bad, but because for most of the time they're overkill that do not give you enough controls over the element that matter as easily. That's usually because Unreal has its source available. It can of course change all of it, but it's also massive. And if you want to change some details of it, you have to go into this monolithic code base to tweak it how you want it, when you could have just started with a lot of a simpler tool to begin with and get the result you wanted a lot faster.
Yeah.
So
I am in the
I
same
do share
position.
the pain of seeing all of the games just compromise, and well, if that's how it's gonna be, we're gonna use the defaults here because they are nice enough.
Oh, come on! No. It's no. I'm not. I cannot stand it. I cannot stand it. It's very good that even non-developer people is able to build something, is able to do something playable. It's a very good achievement, like for humanity, I guess. It's a very good point, and I don't want to go back from this.
Yeah.
But I pretend that these tools used in such a way are used for prototyping, are used for something not naive, but something experimental. Like how the mechanic would be. You cannot imagine it in your mind. You can imagine it in your mind, but it will forever be different from something that is actually working in front of you. And I can take that these tools from non-developer people are used for, again, prototyping and experiments. But when I see this thing on real cartridges, fuck no.
I mean, as you said, I don't want to go. I've sort of accepted it as a price of accessibility. I just
Okay.
I just want to push people into getting more control back. It's like, okay, you have made your first few games with with the provided tools. Now
Mhm.
let's take the training wheels away, and let's see what you can do now.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, because
Exactly.
even on a bicycle, there are maneuvers you cannot do, but could be useful to you. So let's take the training wheels away, and you can fly more.
But
So
are they able to? Are they able
I
to?
believe they are. I have seen people,
Hmm.
succeed once they were willing to get out of the comfort zone. That is why
Oh,
I want to push more people into that.
very good. Yeah, me too. We are here for this reason.
Yeah. So yeah, on a ending on a high note, is there something that I didn't ask or mention, but you would like to talk about or
Sure.
point out?
Uh, so you are asking me something specific, or if I want to say something
Yeah, do you
on?
have anything that I might have overlooked or not mentioned, but you think
Oh,
it's
sure.
important to mention?
Let me think about. Go to the fucking Kickstarter and back my project. Back Orpheus now. It's ending. 27th, 28th of April. It's over. For Orpheus to be big, for Orpheus to grow, and to have multiple maps and multiple endings and big and huge and many bosses, etc. You have to go there and to back the project. There's the digital version only, which is like 15 euro, 15 euros. The solo cartridge, which is something like 35. I cannot even remember my prices.
34. I
34.
remembered
Thank you
that
very
one.
much. Okay, thank you very much. And the box version, which has the instruction booklet that has to be read if you want to play good, and if you want to be good at playing Orpheus, the regular boxes, the regular box, the instruction booklet, and the cartridge with a plus of second label and some super cute, like magically done from Alunite and Mizu. Hi, Mizu. Magically done by her. She's a really, she's something like magical. She, she's she. Oh, Like her drawings are.
I have worked with her. It's amazing, and it's amazing how quickly she does them. It's just very natural for her to immediately get it.
Thank you. You just said the words that didn't came, but either. So the regular boxes are very good, like very good,
Do you also
and the
make
game still
the
is.
boxes, like the cartridges?
Well, I give a help on the composition, like I actually do compose the cover box art, which I posted on Twitter to the account named Faye, which is quite huge in the homebrew scene. And to thank him, I gave him on Twitter, I guess, again, the sketched version of the official Orpheus cover. So I'm able to draw like that. And from that point on, it's taken to the real people that are able to draw perfectly. And Mizu is going to do a really, really great job. So go there. You have to go now on Kickstarter. Maybe are you going to, no, surely you are going to link the
Of
campaign
course.
page.
Speaking of linking, any other stuff you want me to mention? Social media, websites, itch page.
Yeah, all the big five of this team can be found on Instagram, Twitter, and Blue Sky, which is me, StudioLoading, Kibou Entertainment, Design, Mizu and Alunite, her company based in Japan, FaultBox, which is the pixel artist, and SloopyGoop, which is a great musician and good and does very, very good background music for the Game Boy. These five people, which is my dream team, is going to develop a great game. Orpheus is going to be great.
I mean, the demo is already, you know, pretty interesting. So, if you just make more of
Yeah.
that is just it's a good track to be on.
Yeah, and still traps and how do you say in English, like divinities, the gods of the ancient
Deities.
Greeks?
Yeah.
Yes, they're going to be in the game. That's even going to be an owl in our game, and a dolphin, and fighting skull. It's going to be very good, and the bosses also, because I had not time to implement the boss fight. I really wished to do this in the demo, but it took me a lot of time to do a really good boss fight. Because if you want to take a boss fight in the demo, it has to be perfect. Everything in the demo has to be perfect and like zero flaws and perfection. I was not able to do the boss fight with Charon on time, and I decided to show it maybe in the next version of the demo. But at this point, I think that the demo is not going to be updated, like not soon, not so soon. Maybe it's going to be released just to the bakers, because from now on, from the goal day on, I am committed to this game, and everything that is related to Orpheus as video game content has to be limited to those people. Because they trusted me, they trusted us, they trusted all of us, and we are grateful for that. And we cannot share the project with the world, because the world had the opportunity to enter in the club. And now it is that time. When the campaign closes, we are not able, we cannot share so much to the public about the Orpheus content.
Have to keep some surprises.
Yeah. Or to the world, we have to cover a lot. To the bakers, surely we are going to update them every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, I guess, we are going to say something that is important to them and to the game and to the project in general, because the production phase, the development phase, I want to share with them this phase, because it is very important. I don't want for them to drive us, because we are the artists and we want the freedom for Orpheus to be how we want it to be, because it's our job. We can do that. And the projects, which is handcrafted, homebrewed, use the word that you like the most. If it's driven from the people, is going to be bad. So we wanted freedom, and we are going to take it. In the meantime, we want to share how cute and how good Orpheus is going to be step by step. It is very important for us to share with them how and which direction the game is taking, because it's clearly a fixed screen action puzzle. But as said, there are going to be traps, which the demo is not showing. There are going to be boss fights with very huge sprites of the goddess that the ancient Greece has. So for sure, that kind of pixel art and animations is going to be shared to them.
Well, I am certainly excited for it. Seeing more of it as it develops. So thank you for having this chat with me today. Thank you for
Thank
sharing
you,
some of
Chris.
your nighttime second life with me. And yeah, I mean, go back the game on Kickstarter. When this video goes out, there's gonna be very little time left. So
It's
yeah,
completely intentional. It's totally
there's
intentional.
only a small time window left. If by the time some of the people are watching, it's gonna be just a few hours. So yeah, and I suppose that is it for us for now.
Yeah, for now.